Chapter 5. Breakfast. I quickly followed Sue, descending into the barroom, accosted from the grinning landlord very pleasantly. I cherished no malice towards him, though he had been very skylarking with me, not a little in the matter of my bedfellow. However, a good laugh is a mighty good thing, and rather too scarce a good thing. The more's the pity. So any man, in his own proper person, affords stuff for a good joke to anybody. Let him not be backward, but let him cheerfully allow himself to be spent in that way. And the man has anything bountifully laughable about him, be sure that there is more to that man than perhaps you think for. The bar-room was now full of the boarders who had been dropping in the night previous, who I have not had a good look at. They were nearly all whalemen, chief mates, second mates, third mates, sea carpenters, sea coopers, and sea blacksmiths, and harpooners, and shipkeepers, and a brawny company with bosky beards and an unshorn set, all wearing monkey jackets for morning gowns. You could pretty plainly tell how long each one had been ashore. This young fellow's healthy cheek was like a sun-toasted pear in a hoe, and would seem to smell almost as musky. He cannot have been 3 days landed from his Indian voyage. That man next him looked a few shades lighter, you might say a touch of satin wood in him. In the complexion, about a third still lingers in a tropic tone, but still slightly bleached within. Doubtless he has tarried a whole week's ashore. But who could have shown a cheek like Queequeg, which, barred with various tints, seemed like the Antins' western slope to show one array, contrasting climate zone by zone. "Grub ho!" now cried the landlord, flinging open the door, and in we went to breakfast. They say that men who've seen the world thoroughly do not become quite easy in manner, quite self-important in company. Not always, though. Ledyard, the great New England traveler, and Mungo Park, the Scotch one, of all men, they possess the least assurance in the parlor. But perhaps the mere crossing of Siberia in a sled drawn by dogs, as Ledyard did, or taking a long solitary walk on an empty stomach in the Negro heart of Africa, some of poor Mungo's performances. This kind of travel made me the very best note of attaining a high social polish. These reflections here are occasioned by the circumstance that we all were seated round the table. I was preparing to hear the good stories at whaling. To my no small surprise, nearly all the men maintained a profound silence. Not only that, but they looked embarrassed. Yes, here were a set of sea dogs, many of whom had without the slightest bashfulness, had boarded the great whales of high seas, entire strangers to them, and dulled them dead without winking, and yet they all sat here at the social breakfast table, looking round as sheepishly at each other as the green mountains. What a curious sight! These bashful bears, these timid warrior whalemen. But as for Queequeg sat there among them, at the head of the table too, so it was chanced, as cool as an icicle. To be sure, his greatest admirer could not have cordially justified his bringing his harpoon to breakfast with him, and using it there without ceremony, reaching over the table with it, and immediately in imminent jeopardy of many heads, grabbling the beefsteaks towards him. This was certainly very coolly done to him, and everyone knows, in most people's estimation, to do anything coolly was guaranteed. We will not speak of all Queequeg's particulars here, how he issued the coffee and hot rolls, and applied his undivided attention to the beefsteaks, done rare enough. When his breakfast was over, he withdrew like the rest into the public room, lighted his tomahawk pipe, and was was sitting there quietly digesting, smoking, with his inseparable hat on while I sallied out for a stroll.